as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Kahalayim La, Alahayin Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All praise to our power, our Father, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, in the name of Holy Spirit. Double honor to elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone. Peace and blessing to your hopeful elect out there. You brothers teaching his word in truth and in sincerity, okay? Yahweh Shai will make you elect like him. Yahweh Shai will make you hopeful elect out there just like him. He's going to make you just like him, and he's going to give you everything in due season. Okay? I'm reading the scripture again, and then I'll get another. Just going to read two scriptures in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 15 again. As for me, and this is Psalm of David, and we know King David was an Israelite. Or should I say he is an Israelite, okay? So this verse right here is only for the Israelites, beginning with the elect. Those are part of the house of David. Because King David himself, he wrote this. Psalm 17 and 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness, meaning you will behold this truth, okay? This truth is the Lord's face. His image. You're looking at his face in righteousness by you understanding this truth. Okay? He opened up your mind to receive this word. You understand and believe in the true proper name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You understand and believe in the true proper name of his beloved Son, Yahushai. You know that we're the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand this truth. So you're beholding his face in righteousness, meaning you're understanding these scriptures. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, meaning when you're changed. When Yahweh returns to this earth, he's gonna quicken you. He's gonna give you life. When you receive that new body, it's like you're waking up for the first time. Totally refreshed, totally renewed, totally rejuvenated. A whole new world, a whole new life. That's how it's going to be when you receive that immortal body. You will be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning you're going to be changed and you're going to be just like him. Because he is the perfect model. He is the archetype. So for you hopeful elect out there, you're being made into different versions of Yahushai. When he returns to this planet Earth, he's going to make you just like him. First, he gave you his truth. You have his truth by way of his death and resurrection, because Yahushai had to die for us to receive this truth, this word. So you're beholding his face by you looking at this word. So you see Yahushai all the time. You see Yahushai by way of this word, because he is the word. He comes in a volume of the book. And the more you get into this book, the more you're becoming like his image spiritually. And when he returns to this earth, physically, you're going to be like him. Physically, you're going to be changed. And you're going to receive that new covenant. The law, statutes, and commandments will be in your mind. You're going to be programmed to do righteousness. Okay? You will have the law, statutes, and commandments downloaded within your brain. You're going to be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning when he returns, he's going to beam you up, deliver you, and you're going to be just like him. And he's going to give you everything. He will give you everything, man, because he himself received everything. Now, this is Psalms chapter 16, beginning verse 9. Therefore, my heart is glad. Now, this is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. Now, these are Psalms written by our beloved King David. But a lot of these Psalms, you hear Yahweh Shai in the spirit. Therefore, my heart is glad and my glory rejoiceth. Talking about Yahweh Shai. Because he knew that he was going to be resurrected after his crucifixion.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Makakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his young brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers and listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shah. All right, and what I want to get into, this morning, dealing with this morning news and prophecy, how Esau wants, everyone AI dependent, and that's what give this man the devil. Just give this man the leverage, devil, because he pushes people to be dependent on his systems. People depend on his job market. Okay, people depend on his economy. People depend on, his food supply chain. Okay, the grocery stores and the trucking. And okay, now he has made the ultimate trade where he traded. People traded their skills and their sovereignty. Okay, for convenience. Okay, so he's been able to deliver convenience in people's day to day. All right, but this gives this man the leverage because it makes you dependent on him for the convenience. Okay, and this next level of convenience that he wants, people dependent on in this AI, and that's why he allows, AI to be available, to be free. People can use AI to help them with work, to create businesses, to help create art, to help do this, to do that. Okay, AI is like an assistant because he wants to create a dependency. Okay, Esau is all about creating a dependency, man. And that's how you condition the animal. You create a dependency. You see, you can feed, certain animals for a certain amount of time, and then they just get so used to having, food conveniently there. Okay, to where they're conditioned, okay, to come and look for their food. They're conditioned to come and partake in this ready accessible that they don't have to hunt for. They don't have to go find. It's just conveniently there. Okay, well, Esau does that on a mass scale, with people. And the devil is a cunning hunter. And one thing about being a cunning hunter, you have to be patient. Okay, you have to be patient. I said you might spend years conditioning, okay, a certain animal and getting them, comfortable, okay, to come to certain spots before you start hunting, before you start actually hunting, So what this devil is doing, he's building up, their trust, this whole system that we seeing. All right, the devil is trying to build trust in this system. Okay, so this new world order system that he's getting ready to roll out, the thing now. That's why they rolled out Trump. Trump was supposed to be a bridge, to build trust to this new world order. Okay, that's why they pump his character up so much. Okay, because through this character of Trump, a lot of people that was against, new world order, agendas Well, under Trump, a lot of those people are pro New World Order agenda now. Okay, which now people that was against the police state, they're with the police state. Okay, people that was against the cryptocurrency, they're with the cryptocurrency now. Okay, people that was against, globalism are now with globalism. As Trump is this, just this conquering president. Okay, so these devils are playing, massive psyops. Okay, to get people to trust and depend. Okay, on the technology of this new world order. Now, I want to get some precepts, and I got a few videos I want to get into. Let's get this first here. Okay, let's get this in the book of Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 12. It says, therefore, the Holy One of Israel says this, because you have refused and rejected this word of mine, and this is speaking to our people that don't believe, because our people, they reject the gospel, the good news, the preaching of the world to come. As we're preaching about a righteous kingdom that's promised to come, okay, under Yahushua, they reject that, okay? And what do they trust in? And you put your trust and have put your trust in oppression and guile, which is deception, okay, and have relied on them, okay? So our people reject the gospel, okay, and they still trust in the system, okay, that hates them, that has pushed nothing but deception, okay? Because Esau, Edom, he's the wicked, and he's wicked to the whole world. But there's a special target on Israelites, man. You go into the system and how this system is set up, to keep Israel at the bottom. You go into these convert and, these covert, systems that this devil has in place to destroy, us as a people, to keep us oppressed, to keep us, because see, he wants Israel more dependent than anyone, you know. That's why he offers so much aid and, all these different, systems set up as if he's there to help, because he wants to create that dependency to keep Israel forever oppressed, man. Okay? So there's no one that he uses more trickery and witchcraft on than the tribes. So here it is, the people that's oppressed the most by the system, they trust the system the most. They rely on this system, man. Okay, and that's why they have such a problem with the gospel, because the gospel speaks of the end of this system, man. So when you read on verse 13, it said, therefore, this wickedness, this sin, this injustice, this wrongdoing will be like a crack in a wall about to fall, a bulge in a high wall whose collapse comes suddenly in an instant. Okay, because this is a rebellious system, man, that this devil is running now. And now he's want to bring in a system that's more oppressive to the people, especially you tribes, okay, and more rebellious to Yahweh by Shemal Shai through technology. Okay, so right now what we're seeing is, he's prepping to enforce this new system on the scene. Okay, that's why he's desensitizing people to the brutality of federal law enforcement, because he's ready to enforce this system, man. Okay, and all this time he just been getting people dependent on the convenience of this system. Okay, but it's always been rebellious against, righteousness. It's always been oppressive. Okay, and the system that he wants to bring with technology is going to be more rebellious and more oppressive. But the Most High, he's going to bring it to an end instantly, man. Okay, and this is the warning that goes out as we tell our people the good news, who they are, who their power is, the promises. We also tell them about the judgment that's coming for this current age, this current world. And it's going to be suddenly, man. Okay, but our people, they would rather take their chances with oppression. The most of them, 2/3. Isaiah 30 and 14 says, who collapse is like the smashing of a potter's jar, crushed so savagely that there cannot be found among it pieces, a potsherd large enough to take coals off fire from a fireplace or to scoop water from a cistern. So this is the Lord saying that he's going to break this place up in little pieces. He's going to literally turn America to powder. You know, he's gonna turn this place into powder to where it can't be reused for nothing. Okay? The Lord finna bring down this whole system, this whole beast infrastructure is finna be torn down. Okay, it's not gonna be reusable. Okay, it's gonna be totaled out, as they say in insurance terms. Okay, and trusting in this man, in this system, man, is the worst decision you can make coming into the times, you know, that we're coming into, man. Okay, because you're going to be part of the destruction. Okay, you trust this man, the Lord's going to make you a part of the destruction. You see, let's go here to the book of Jeremiah, and then we'll get a few. This is the book of Jeremiah 17:5. It said, "Thus said the Lord, cursed is the man who trusts in and relies on mankind, making weak, faulty human flesh his strength, and whose mind and heart turn away from the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, man." Okay, because this system is meant to get you to rebel against the Heavenly Father and His Son, but trust in Esau and his technology and his doctrine and his philosophy and his ways. Okay, that's what this whole system is geared. That's the foundation of Esau's rulership. Okay, is to is to promote rebellion. Okay, and reliance on Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay, but compliance and trust in Him. Okay, and He presents it as if He's doing you a favor. All right, and it says this is a weak, faulty system. Okay, Esau, you know, push it like he got this all together. This is a weak and faulty system, man. Esau trying to replace the Most High, man. That's a weak, faulty system, man. That will be terrible, man. Okay, you gotta really think about it. This man wants to replace. He wants to put a system that can replace the Most High. Okay, to his technology, he can be everywhere at once. Okay, he can predict crime. Okay, and this man is faulty. He's not right. Okay, that's the thing about it. This man, the man behind the technology, is wicked. Okay, and faulty, man. You see? So you merge yourself with this technology. They're saying you trust this man to play the role of the Most High, man. That's what you're saying. You're saying, look, I trust this man in this system to take on the role of the Most High. Okay, and that's why the judgment gonna be so severe. You see? You take that MOTB, man, you're gonna get, you know, the brunt of the Lord's wrath towards this age, man. You know, via the missiles and the chariots. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's play this. All right, because the devil is all about getting people dependent. Okay, on this system. So let's play this. Let's play a little bit of this.
People don't know how to create art or create music or write without AI. And what does that ultimately mean for humanity? Then essentially we do end up in sort of this helpless state where we become dependent on machines to function. But it only happens if we voluntarily give ourselves over to that type of system and decline to use the abilities granted to us by our consciousness and our souls and decide to let machines do it for us. So I would encourage people, if they want to essentially know what's planned in that scenario, to go and read the book written by Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO I mentioned earlier, and Henry Kissinger, called The Age of AI, Our Human Future. So essentially there they frame a lot of stuff as warnings, but if you have any idea into who Eric Schmidt and Henry Kissinger are and what they've done in their careers, they don't really seem like they're very concerned about some of the impacts they claim to be concerned about to me, but that's just me personally. But there are some things they say in there that objectively do consider careful consideration. So one of those is that AI will they say invariably lead to a division of society. Essentially, they don't use this term, but I will use it, into classes of haves and have-nots. But the way they define it is a little different. sort of this more elite tier would be the people that determine AI's objective function, that program and develop AI and understand what AI does to people. And then the lower class presumably would be much larger, and that is the class that AI will act upon, but people will lose the ability to know what AI is doing to them. And they argue that this process of people losing the ability to know what AI is doing to them will happen because of this phenomena they refer to as cognitive diminishment, which is sort of this idea that's pretty easy to verify. If you stop doing mental math and use a calculator all the time, it gets harder and harder and harder to do mental math. And the same is true for really like any skill that you don't practice. So they argue that because of the convenience of AI and how it's creeping into our lives, and I think we've seen this a lot since the advent of generative AI, it will become harder and harder and harder and eventually impossible for people to do certain things, including make decisions for themselves, because the AI will tell you where to go. It will tell you what music to listen to. It will tell you what clothes to buy. And essentially, that's their vision. People will eventually lose the ability to make those decisions for themselves or even develop their own preferences without the assistance of artificial intelligence. And so obviously the way to fight against that is to not outsource all of your decision making and skills to that. And unfortunately, I think during it, as we've seen with the rise of generative AI, people are creating less. People are outsourcing their creativity to AI, have AI make art for me, have AI write things for me. And eventually that leads to a world where in a generation, people don't know how to create art or create music.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is based
or write without AI. And what does that ultimately mean for humanity? Then essentially we do end up in sort of this helpless state where we become dependent on machines to function. But it only happens if we voluntarily give ourselves over to that type of system and decline to use the abilities granted to us by our consciousness and our souls and decide to let machines do it for us and have them become the creators. And have us just be processors for AI, batteries like the Matrix. I mean, I don't know, but I'd rather not see that come to fruition. And I think the way to avoid that is very easily within the hands of anybody, regardless of your economic status or what your skills are. Everybody can create.
So yeah, the devil, he's allowed people access, to AI, for basically free, to create. So people can just, be on AI all day. A lot of children in schools now, they use AI to write essays. Okay. And after a while, ain't no going back. The AI can write an essay, okay, in 5 minutes. There's no way that you're going to read, various books, and come up with your own essay that takes hours. Okay. So now you have people, okay, you have a generation, because they know most of the kickback with AI is from the older generation, but they've already counseled the older generation gone, okay, and they've already got the young generation addicted. See, Esau not thinking about 5-10 years. He's thinking about 40, 50, 60 years, 100 years. That's how his mind is thinking, because like the scriptures say, his inward thought is that he can continue forever. I think that's Psalms 49 and 11. If a brother want to get that. Okay. So he already has the youth, okay, dependent on AI more than ever. There's no way that they will go back, to their manual way of doing things after, being born into a world of AI, okay, where things are automated, okay, where there's technology that thinks for them, that does certain work and task for them. Okay. So people are outsourcing their critical thinking, all right, their decision making, okay, their creativity to AI, all right, to the point to where now, people can't live life without it. Okay. How many people could live without a cell phone? Okay. So this devil has, the masses addicted to this technology, and they can't see a life without it. So let's play a little bit more of this, and then we'll segue. I got another video.
something. Maybe you whittle things out of wood. Maybe you make music. Maybe you make art, visual art, or other, woven art. I don't know. There's all sorts of things people do. People have always been creating ever since we've existed as a species. And I think if we surrender that, then the post-human future would be an inevitability. And that's essentially what these people are hoping for. And I think it's important for people to fight against that. And I think when people talk about resisting this agenda, this is something that inherently gets left out of that discussion. And I don't think it should be at all. Because again, I don't think people are really reading what a lot of these architects of AI policy are thinking and saying. People are just willingly using it because it's convenient, it's easy, but without really thinking about long-term consequences. And I'm sure people that have been using generative AI, I don't know, in independent media to generate content for your site, has it gotten harder to write those things after using it for a year? Probably, for those people, I would wager. And that type of phenomena is only going to get worse. And what happens when we can't even think for ourselves anymore? Because stopping creating, not being able to write, eventually you're not going to be able to think without the help of this algorithm or whatever. And again, as I mentioned earlier, AI is prone to hallucinating, seeing realities that aren't there, and all sorts of things. And how deep could we get dragged into some sort of artificial illusion if we sort of outsource our thinking and our creativity to this type of entity? It's kind of funny because Schmidt and Kissinger argue that these hallucinated realities, AI seeing realities that humans observe, mean that the reality must be real because AI is so much more intelligent than us. So that we should believe, whatever it sees that's unobservable. And I don't know, maybe that could be true in some instances, but since there's no way to verify, do we really want to shape society around what could be hallucinations of some, human created machine just because, certain people that are powerful in society have an almost religious like devotion to artificial intelligence? I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah, so she spoke about something called post-humanism. Okay. And these devils want a reality, okay, where humans, serve the machines. Right now, they're pitching this new world order, where machines, serve the human. Okay. But ultimately, this devil wants a reality where humans serve the machine, and the machine, all right, this technology, this AI, will be programmed by the elites. So the elites want to run and control the AI, and the AI to control the people. They want AI to be a buffer between them and the masses, man. Okay, they want people that have to answer to algorithms. Okay, and they keep pushing this narrative like AI is just, super intelligent and smart. Because here it is, he's dumbing people down, with the technology. And then he boasts on how, and the technology is learning from the people. But then this devil turns around and say, well, this technology is smarter than the people. Okay. But this technology is just collection of mass data. Okay. It's just a collection of mass data. You see? Because if you unplug the machine, it's over. Okay. So this devil is running with the narrative, and what he's doing, he's putting the pressure on people to have to consider you have to merge with machines to keep up. You're going to have to merge with my machinery to keep up. Okay. You're going to have to be one with this technology to even function, in society. Okay. So I asked the chat, I said, what is cognitive diminishing? Could it play a role in post-human theories? It says, good question. It says, yes, it absolutely can play a role depending on how the theory is framed. It said, what people usually mean by cognitive diminishing. It said, it's not a single formal term in psychology or philosophy, but it's used loosely. It's used loosely to describe a decline, a narrowing, or erosion of cognitive capacities over time or across systems. The ideas show up in a few overlapping ways. Okay. So this devil is intentionally declining people's ability. When you go into it, says individual level, reduce attention span, memory, critical thinking, or problem solving. Okay, that's why you got this term called doom scrolling. You know, because people attention span is so short. You know, that's why most social media has been shortened to just quick videos. Okay, people's attention span are diminishing. If your attention span is diminishing, well, your ability to learn, your ability to process information, okay, and it makes it hard to keep up with this devil. If you got a short attention span, okay, you ain't you don't have the capacity to really keep up with what this nigga got going on because he got so much going on. Okay, so it says memory, critical thinking, or problem solving. And this guy, Shahid Basel, he made a good point. He said the American people, he says like they wake up every day with an erased memory. You know, that's why certain things are only a problem for a day or two, a week or two, and then it's like it's on to the next, like nothing never happened. But he says the American people are so you know destroyed by technology that it's like every day they wake up with a new fresh memory, like they just start all over again. So the wrongdoings of the government, okay, the corruption, the scandals, okay, certain things that have come out, it's like it disappears. Like every day is a fresh start. And this devil, he starts off with new propaganda for the day. Okay, it said it can be tied to aging, trauma, neo-degeneration, or degeneration, or even environmental overload. Constant stimuli, that's the main reason, man. Constant stimuli, okay, on these phones, on these social media all the time, all day, every day. Okay, that constant stimuli, automation, which is part of AI, and etc. Okay, and people are operating from being overloaded with stimuli. You just constantly overloaded with stimuli. You see, and this new world order is going to be presented as one big stimuli. All right, one big stimulation. Okay, of all type of convenience and technology. Okay, so to the people that's addicted and that basically worship, because a major part of the image of the beast is this technology, man. These lying wonders. Okay, that's a major part of this man's image. Okay, and this is the what people worship the most is this man's technology and his convenience. Okay, and there's this constant stimulation. Okay, entertainment and pleasure and dopamines. You see, and he has people dependent on these things. That's why you'll get Esau can dump you know uh 80 million tons of toxic waste into the Mississippi River, and it wouldn't be an uproar. Okay, but if you ban TikTok, okay, or if you shut down the internet for a couple of days, and then people go crazy. So this devil, he could dump 80 million tons of toxic waste into the Mississippi River. Okay, and you wouldn't get much, maybe a TikTok video. Do you know what they just did? Okay, you might get that. Okay, but if you were to take TikTok off, if you cancel OnlyFans, if you cancel, certain websites, this place will go absolutely crazy, man. Okay, because everyone's a stimuli junkie, man. Okay, so part of the leverage that this devil has within this new world order is that he has everyone hooked on stimuli. All right, on this instant stimulation. Okay, so you keep reading. It says knowledge gets externalized to tools, search engines, AI algorithms. Humans rely less on deep understanding and more on access, skill, atrophy. Okay, which is the diminishing, the devouring of skills. All right, because systems think for us. Okay, and this is what this man has been doing. All right, he's been allowing access to this AI. And this AI has begun to do all the thinking for people. And there's nothing wrong with using it. You just be mindful, man. Because you can we use this world, not abuse it. Okay, but most people abuse everything. Okay, the West, it teaches you to abuse and indulge and overconsume in everything. Okay, it says systemic technological level. It says optimization for speed and efficiency over reflection or wisdom. Okay, so now everything is about speed and efficiency, man. It's about quantity, not quality. Okay, it's about speed, not accuracy, man. Okay, it said feedback loops that simplify thought. Okay, recommendation algorithm, narrowing perspectives. So cognitive diminishing often implies loss through delegation, not just decay. And people are delegating critical thinking to AI, their memory to AI, okay, their problem solving to AI, okay. And you can use these things as a tool, but when you become dependent on it, you can't function without it. Then this man has all the leverage, man. Okay, so you go into how this fits into post-human theories. It said post-humanism is very interested in this idea, but usually in a nuanced, non-doom way. It said redistribution of uh, cognition, not just loss. Post-human theorists like Catherine Hales argue that cognition doesn't disappear; it moves from individual minds to human-machine assemblages, from conscious thought to embodied algorithm or environmental, process. Okay, so they wanted to get to where people have become so dependent, and they train the AI so much, okay, till they can make the case where the AI is far, has the AI decision making is far more accurate than human decision making. So we should entrust the decision making to the AI. Okay, so this post-human theory, is not a world with no humans, okay, but a world where humans are under AI. Okay, well, AI is at the forefront. AI is not in the background; it's at the forefront. Okay, so this is what this devil wants to transfer into is a world where people are submissive to AI. Okay, well, AI is the superior, and people are the inferior. Okay, and that's this post-human, dominated. Is post-human is an AI dominated society, not a society dominated by human decision making, human engineer, human creativity. Okay, so let's go from there. I got this another quick video I want to get into. Uh, Let me see. Thought I had. Mm, Hold on, let me find it. Here you go. So let's play this because, like I said,
a brand new.
Let's go back because this devil, he already has counted, the adults of this generation. All right, they're counted out. Okay, he's not worried about, this pushback from the adults, this generation. Okay, he's considered them. He's already counseling them out. He's beginning to work on the youth. Okay, so this shows you they took a poll, all right, and the youth is all for AI. Okay, remember they was born into a high tech. They was born into high tech. Okay, so the youth is all for AI. All right, and this is the devil's agenda, to get the youth, because the youth are the future. Because the devil plans, okay, on being here. Okay, in his mind, he's just getting started. Okay, he's just getting started with establishing, his new world order. You see, that's why I'm gonna let this play just a few minutes of it. All right.
A brand new Heartland Rasmussen poll is showing something rather startling when it comes to AI taking over the government. Billy, let me read it right from the website because this is amazing. 41% of likely voters aged 18 to 39 voiced support for a proposal to give advanced AI system authority to control public policy-making decisions, which is pretty terrifying. But I actually think there's one more that's even scarier, Billy. Here, check it out. 36% of likely voters age 18 to 39 said that they would support a proposal that would give AI, quote, I can't believe this, quote, authority to determine the rights that belong to individuals and families, including rights related to speech, religious practices, government authority, and property. Billy, what do you think about this find?
Okay, so the second one that you just read, especially when you get to speech, religious practices, government authority, and property, is absolutely terrifying. That means that almost 4 in 10 young people between 18 and 39 believe that our very basic First Amendment rights should be essentially handed over to a non-personal machine that we don't even know who's controlling it. That's the other thing here. When you think of AI, all these different companies own it. It works in all different ways depending. I'm not somebody who knows the framework of AI, but I do know that you have to consider who is running and owning the AI. If I were in China, and if you were to take this poll in China, can you imagine giving the Chinese government that kind of authority over people? So the fact, I think we have to pull back here, and we have to say as a culture and a society, great, ChatGPT, all these other tools have been wonderful and helpful, and not everybody loves them, but I think a lot of us have found them useful in different ways. But I think that's worn us down already to a place where young people are saying, oh yeah, we're really cool with this. Let's hand it all over to the machines. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I think let's make this in the plainest English possible. Young people are starting to become kind of cool with the concept of AI running the show. It's like no need for the Matrix or the Terminator. They're just like, yeah, that sounds good. So obviously here at CBN News, we bring.
Yeah, so, those 18 from 39, they say 40% are cool with AI making major decisions, in society. Okay, because people have grown to what? Trust the AI. If you've been running your business with AI, you got AI personal assistants, you got AI employees. Okay, you've been using AI for the stock market and you made a little profit. So it's like people are, being persuaded, that AI is the way. Okay, and that's why he allows all this access to AI. Okay, because for once it's training the AI. Okay, he's collecting data. Okay, and on the other end is gaining trust of the masses, man. There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna voluntarily walk into this new world order. Okay, and it's gonna be a people that's gonna take a little force. It's gonna take some inconvenience to get them to get on board. Okay, but there's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna walk into this thing. They're excited about a world ran by AI. You know, they have brought into, okay, the narrative, okay, that AI is going to be them transcending. Okay. So let's get this. I got one more video. This is Psalms 49 and 11 in the AMP. It said their inward thought is that their houses will continue forever and their dwelling places to all generations. They have named their lands after their own names, ignoring the Most High. Okay, so the inward thought of Esau is that he's going to be in rulership forever, you know, and then he's also trying to tap into, you know, becoming immortal. Okay, and he's finna set up, he finna start experimenting, you know, with people, you know, all this, you know, brain interface technology and, you know, this transhumanism. This is him trying to obtain immortality on the left hand side. Okay, and he's going to turn the earth into a big lab to experiment on the masses. Okay, and there's no telling what he's doing now with all these, you know, kidnappings and you see all these abductions. There's no telling what type of experiment the devil is doing. Okay, but see, this man, he's ignoring the Most High, which the prophets, the mouthpiece of the Most High, telling this nigga that he's done, man. All right, and then he's been charged with rebellion. Okay, so in his mind, he's ignoring the prophets, and he's just gonna do what he want to do. He's gonna go. He's gonna go forward with this agenda. Okay, that's the mindset of Esau. He's gonna ignore any warning. He's just gonna do what he wants to do. Okay, and attempt to set up this system, man, and replace the Most High. Okay, and that's why the judgment gonna be so severe. Okay, so let's we got one more. There's some more happenings what these devils are on. Lord. We'll play this.
Something is changing in real time, and it's even bigger than the headlines. Across the world, we're watching the building blocks of control begin to stack up. Germany is building a global data dragnet, and they want their regulators to be able to walk into media offices and platforms without a warrant, all in the name of transparency. And it doesn't end there. Scientists are creating robots smaller than a grain of sand. Gene editing is becoming custom built for individuals, and money that can be monitored and restricted is right in the middle of all of it. Meanwhile, despite dozens of data breaches, Ireland plans to tie social media to their state app. Britain's AI policing plan risks creating a pre-crime state. And in China, AI-powered robocops take up traffic duties in Chinese cities. And somewhere down under, Australia is declaring no ID, no account. None of this is science fiction, but it is the infrastructure of revelation being wired in, brick by digital brick. Hey everyone, it's Dina Calmetta here. And today we're going to dig into these headlines, connect the headlines with scripture, and see what prophecy has to say about it. Let's start with the war on privacy and freedom. Germany is working to position itself as a global hub for data collection and analysis, building systems that can ingest communications, financial data, and online activity from around the world. The promise is security and efficiency. The danger is concentrated power over information and people. At the same time, Germany's Transparency Act gives regulators the power to search media offices and online platforms without traditional warrants. They say it's about fighting disinformation and protecting democracy. But you and I know how quickly labels like misinformation or extremism can be slapped on anyone who speaks biblical truth. Here in the West, Biometric surveillance is sliding quietly into everyday life. Wegmans in New York is expanding systems that collect facial, eye, and even voice data from shoppers. It's marked as convenience and safety. But once people are conditioned to accept this at a grocery store, it becomes very easy to roll similar systems into banks, airports, and government services. Add to that emerging world of surveillance currency, digital money that can track every transaction, store your behavior profile, and be switched off or limited with a few keystrokes. When money becomes programmable, your access to it becomes conditional. Revelation 13 paints a sobering picture of where this kind of system ultimately leads. And verse 17 says that there will come a time when no one may buy or sell unless they are inside a controlled global economic system. We're already seeing how fragile our status can be. In Australia, which has effectively become the testing ground for the new global ID system, reports confirm that they are moving to enforce a digital ID, just to speak, online. The headline is blunt: no ID, no account. It almost sounds like no mark, no purchase, no mark, no groceries, no mark, no job.
And you can't get around it. You can't separate, what the devil is doing real time from the prophecy of Revelation 13. You can't separate. Okay. And if you're doing it, you're following someone that's teaching it. Okay. And if you're teaching it, you're looking like a goddamn fool. Okay. To try to disassociate, okay, what this devil is rolling out real time, the system and the technology that the devil is rolling out real time, to try to disassociate it with what's happening. Okay. In the Bible, what the Bible says this devil would do, what this beast system would do. Okay, because you notice she's talking about, America and these 10 horn nations, excluding Australia, Germany, okay, the French, the British. Okay. So we're seeing, this is a global system that's rolling out. Okay. In order to participate in this new global system, you're going to have that technology, man. The MOTB, which is the RFID microchip. Okay. And that's what all roads lead to. Right. That micro technology.
Get my point. But this is a massive digital purge. If you cannot prove who you are to the state, you do not get a voice in the public square. And this pairs perfectly with their new hate speech law. First, they define what you can't say, and then they make sure they know exactly who is saying it. But this isn't just happening down under. Ireland is planning to tie social media access directly to a state app, despite concerns over dozens of data breaches. And Discord, well, they're expanding its age verification ID system to more regions. It is a coordinated global rollout. Now, in the U.S., the COSMA bill claims to be about
it says a coordinated global rollout. Okay, a coordinated global rollout.
About safety. But critics are warning that it's turning the internet into a mass surveillance tool. And if they can't control the user, they go after the platform. Democrats are now demanding that Apple and Google ban X, formerly Twitter, from their app stores. They are trying to deplatform an entire network because they can't control the narrative.
And then that's political theater dealing with X, all right? Because X is nothing but a gathered data, a data gathering platform, okay, of the government, okay, but it's posed as a private owned platform by Elon Musk, who's supposed to be this freedom, this billionaire that's on the side of the common people, So X was supposed to be this, community of free speech. He brought X, he supposedly brought X for a space of free speech. Okay. So they use these things to make it seem as if no one's exempt, okay, from being deplatformed. Okay. Well, they're setting a precedent, to deplatform anyone that's not with this new world order. Okay.
This is happening along reports of funding freedom blacklists designed to bankrupt
independent voices. But the most disturbing developments are in artificial intelligence. In the UK, a new AI policing plan risks creating a pre-crime state where algorithms judge you before you've even done anything wrong. Meanwhile, China has deployed AI-powered robocops to handle traffic duties, removing the human element entirely. And the ultimate goal? Scientists are now preparing to simulate a human brain on a supercomputer. They aren't just trying to watch humanity, they are trying to replicate it. From digital IDs to AI police, the grid.
I ordered 200 hand-forged knives to my dorm room and built a Wix website to sell them.
Is going up.
And we know Moab is ahead of America, which the elites, finance and orchestrated everything you see in China. Okay. So now they have fully, automated, robots, doing traffic. Okay. But traffic is just the beginning. You see, they want robots to be able to do what ICE is doing. Okay. Door to door. Okay. That's the type of policing, all right, that these devils want within this new world order. Okay. You think that it's just going to stop traffic patrol with these robots? No, it's just the beginning. Okay. And like I say, these Palantir, having this software for ICE dealing with facial recognition. Okay. This Palantir software is collecting all this data and is learning how to police citizens, man. And is learning the style, okay, of how to police. Okay, which is what you see, lethal force. Okay, for the slightest thing, lethal force. And this is what the AI is learning, on how to police citizens. Okay, the slightest infraction, lethal force. Okay, this is what AI is being trained up on. Okay, and they're going to present it to you as if it's a convenient way to grow your business, to be more creative. Okay, to transcend.
So while governments and corporations race to track everything that we do, scientists are crossing another red line. They want to reach into the code of life itself. No longer is it okay just to observe human beings. Now they're looking to rewrite us.
Custom-built gene editing has moved from theory into practice. Using tools like CRISPR, scientists are now designing treatments tailored to the DNA of a specific person, editing genetic code to try to correct rare diseases. On one level, it looks compassionate, even heroic. Parents desperate to save a child, doctors using every tool at their disposal. But we have to ask, at what point does this move from healing into rewriting the very design God has written into our cells? Jesus warned that as the days of Noah were, so also.
But yeah, that's the point of that, I say she be on point sometimes with scripture, but we'll take care of that part. But yeah, man, another thing too, if the AI was so much smarter than people, why is he trying to get AI to replicate the human brain? Okay, because if the AI is just so much, past humans, well, why is he trying to get the AI to replicate a human brain? Okay, because the human brain is far more complex than this AI system, man. Okay, he just has found a way, to the devil has just found a way to collect all this data, okay, and get a quick output. Whenever you ask it a question, is able to come up with a quick output. So the data center, the devil has come up with a way to organize the data, okay, to recognize human input and then give out accurate output. It's still flawed, okay, but it's a system, that can be a tool, okay. But this devil, he's boasting as if he's created something greater than the Most High created. Every time he's saying that the AI is smarter than people, he's saying that he's created something above what the Most High has created. You see, he's transcended creation itself. He's into another sphere of his own. Okay. And this is why the destruction is going to be so great. Okay. It said this is Revelation chapter 18 and 1. It says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened, all right, with his glory, their chariot. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean bird. And this place becoming a desert. Okay, so this is post-destruction, okay, of America, man. Okay, it says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Okay, and the fornication goes into idolatry. All right, and the main idolatry is this rebellion against the Most High through this technology, man. This is idolatry at its highest. Okay, this the devil saying, I'm gonna replace the Most High with my idol, which is AI. Okay, and these nations are down with it. Okay, it says, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Okay, because you look at the direction that these nations are going. Okay, they're going into the direction of a digital system. Okay, AI governance. All these nations are trending in their way. Okay, it says, and the merchants of the earth are wax rich through the abundance of her delicacies, man. Because these nations become rich off American consumerism. And that's why the devil has been able to weaponize the dollar. Okay, because these nations enjoy the benefits, they have enjoyed the benefits of being able to participate in these Western markets, which is based off consumerism. Okay, so these nations have enriched themselves, and in the midst of enriching themselves, they began to take on the ideology, okay, of Esau Edom, because just like people are going to be forced, people are going to be forced to participate. In order to participate in society, you're going to have to take on the technology. Well, in order for these countries to continue on doing business, they're going to have to take on this system. They're going to have to set up this system in their nation, in their country, man, in order to participate in this new global system that's rolling out. Okay? So a lot of these nations are in bed with the whore. Okay? And that's why it's going to be a global judgment. All right? That's why it's going to be a world war. Okay? Because it's a judgment of Esau and these other nations, man. All right? It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she had filled to her double. Okay? So the Lord is getting ready to judge. Okay, this place, man. He's getting ready to judge this system that the devil is trying to set up, man. Okay? Judge, this the only thing that's coming is judgment, man. Okay, and he got, all these different things happening, the psyops, the digital ID, and he has this, these micro bots, and everything that this devil got going on. Ultimately, it's just going to be judged. There's a judgment for that because it's all in rebellion. Okay, and these nations that have participated in this rebellion gonna get caught up in the judgment. So from nations to individual, there's judgment coming. Verse 7 said, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Okay, so America, has, glorified herself. Okay, in this old system. Okay, and the American people in their mind, they're going to continue on, to live deliciously, even in this new system, man. But they don't understand that there's torment that's getting ready to be prepared. It's already prepared, And she said, I sit a queen, because America has enjoyed the status, okay, of a queen, okay, because the elites are like the king of this system. and America has enjoyed the status of like a queen, okay? And these other nations have been servants, okay, to America, man, through this system. And that's why America is able to live deliciously, okay? Because this economy, you go into this current economy, has been set up to serve America, man. Okay? That's why, America can just have all their debt, but still live carelessly, man. Okay? Because the system was set up to serve, America, man. You see? But now, what we're seeing is the Lord's finna tear this. He got Esau tearing the old system down, and the system that Esau think he finna put up, Yahweh Shai coming to tear that down, man. Okay? So it's all finna be torn down, man. You see? Verse 18, verse 8, Revelation chapter 18, verse 8. Therefore shall the plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord who judgeth her. Okay? For strong is the Lord power who judges her, man. Okay? So the Lord's getting ready to wrap this thing up, man. And there's nothing but suffering coming, especially here to America. There's a lot of mourning because there's going to be a lot of death. Okay? It's going to go from abundance to famine. Okay? And then it's going to be judged with fire in this war. Okay? And the chariots and Yahweh, man. You see? So we're to the point where the Lord going to wrap this thing up, man. So, yeah, that was pretty much the point. Okay? Well, Jake said, so I had to argue with someone who told me that the MOTB was Sunday church service. Yeah, don't even waste your time arguing with a nigga. Like, talk about LeBron, all right, and find you an exit, man. Talk about LeBron, the transfer portal, okay, and find an exit conversation, man. Okay, because if a nigga still, if a nigga walking around with that doctrine, he's beyond repair, man. But that's the point, Lord. You brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutation to the hopeful Shalom.